Welcome to Grid Happens. I'm Mindy Stearns, and to know him is to love him. He's a CEO, an entrepreneur, an outlier, overcomer, father, brother, underdog. I'm talking about my husband. Ladies and gentlemen, Glenn Stearns, and this is Grid Happens.
Hey!
Woo!
Yeah.
Rushed it?
You did.
You want me to slow it down? Entrepreneur.
Please. Dramatic effect.
Outlier.
Has a lot of clout in my family to somebody that, is maybe that's why I'm
There's
overlooked.
not a lot of egomaniac. I like to tease you because it's fun, just because I have Undercover Billionaire and a spin-off series called Undercover Billionaire Comeback City. 2 separate shows. One is the second season of Undercover Billionaire where he did build a business in 90 days. And then stars now Glenn goes back to the city that he started this whole crazy challenge. And now he goes back as himself. He's got his phone, his contacts, and a new truck.
Big new truck. Black truck.
And he helps revitalize 6 businesses that have been really hit hard with COVID. This has been a weird world. A lot of businesses being affected by COVID and struggling. And you really go in and you find 6 small businesses, and you go in and insert yourself into there to help revitalize, restruct, pivot, direct, and give them the Glennisms that we know and love from season 2 and really apply them this time.
Well, it was actually very easy to find the 6 because when you think about it right now, the world and businesses are hurting. There's so many businesses out there that could need a shakeup. And, so when we went back to do the what do you call it?
The spin-off series, the season 2?
No, not the spin-off, but the thing in the summer
reunion
that we did.
show. The reunion show.
Discovery said, hey, we got an idea. Why don't you stay and do a series on helping other businesses out? And I thought I would love to do that. I think it's an amazing idea, not for me to do it, but for other people to see how they need to change their thought process, right? Mm-hmm. When the world changes and you don't, you're going to get left behind.
Right.
And so it was great. And it's kind of like having, grandkids, right? Mm-hmm. They're not yours. So you can always send them back. So to walk into someone else's problems is a lot easier than when it's your own problems.
It's your own.
Right. And so I enjoyed it. It was, walking in and being able to see with fresh eyes things that maybe other people weren't able to see or didn't want to see or refused to see, and then make some changes. And it was full of lots of.
There's a lot of nuggets that people got at it.
And drama.
Here's something to say. There, definite drama. All these businesses were already established. I know in some of the previous shows we've talked about starting a business. We've talked about what it takes, what you need to do to be successful in business, and that was kind of the first season was, okay, what do you do? You start from scratch. What do? You can't, now we have these businesses that are already established. They're brick and mortar. They're what have you. They have employees. They have a paycheck, or they have payroll. They have things to go. So what makes one business successful and another fail? What are the factors? And let's explore that here, because I think what you're trying to do is help these businesses not fail. And I think there are key factors that are involved sometimes when we approach businesses that are going through change.
Right. I mean, I think about the businesses, and most businesses, a lot of businesses fail because people are unable to change. They're unable to speak up and gather the right people. They're unable to communicate correctly. But if you have a good concept, right, if you find your buyer first and you know what you're going to get yourself into and you do it correctly, you should have a good chance of making it. And so, but the problem with a lot of businesses is they get into their rut. They get into the routine and they realize that it worked for them in the past. Why won't it work for them again? And we go back to the definition of insanity. If it's not working and you keep trying the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result,
that's the definition of insane. Yes.
And that's exactly what happens a lot of times is they say, well, I remember, for the last 20 years, this has worked for me. Well, the internet has changed. COVID has changed. Social
People have changed.
marketing,
Technology has changed.
And so you need to change. And so I loved going and helping people see the light and understanding. But what is the difference? And I'll tell you, when you develop a company, I think you need to really decide, what does it stand for? What is the purpose behind your company? And you can't just say it's to sell widgets, right? Or it's to, make a product. That's okay, but you need to have purpose, right? You need to have a reason why people want to come to work, because then you develop loyalty. You develop people that go, I'm coming here and making a difference. And when you do that, I think, and I'm thinking of businesses at scale, again, not a little tiny mom and pop business, but as you want to grow your business, the difference between the good and the great companies are the ones that truly make a difference in people's lives, right? And I don't just mean the
You
product.
don't mean outside. You're talking about internally even.
Internally, especially internally. I'll give you an example. We have a company. You might know, heard of this company before.
I've heard of it, yeah.
It's called Kind Lending.
Oh, really? Kind Lending.
Yes.
Tell me more about it.
We
I hear you have a really amazing chief kindness officer.
We do. She's pretty sexy, too. One problem with
You're
that
lucky
lady,
we don't have HR.
she's sleeping with the boss.
That's right. I am. Okay, just to fill them in, yes. My husband, Glenn, the entrepreneur, the serial entrepreneur, opened a mortgage business right smack dab in the middle of a pandemic.
COVID. The day we opened our office was the day California shut down and said we couldn't go in. We had a full floor.
We had a view. We just had some fun decorating. We made it really fun, very non-corporate.
We were the only ones in there for 30,000 square feet.
It was just us. Now, the cool thing is you went back into the same building, same office, same area where you had started and had spent a very successful career building your former company, which bore your name, and now you were doing it differently.
Can we slow that down? And I have avoided this topic for a long time, and yet I'm going to bring it up.
Okay, let's go there. Dear.
I sold my previous company, and didn't like how it ended. And that's not any fault of the people that bought it. It's the fault that I had in my head the way it was supposed to go. And it didn't go that way. And so
you learned a lot.
I learned a lot. But what, and I could tell you that, I had some disappointments in how I, wished things had gone. But when I did the Undercover Billionaire show, it was about building a business in 90 days.
Right.
And I enjoyed that, right? And I thought, wow, going back at it and having people that you can, all gather together and let's go, march up the mountain one more time. And then when I came back, I had been in a non-compete. I couldn't compete for 5 years. And now that the world had changed and there was some restructuring, and that gave me an option to compete. I thought, there's no better time than to start over and do it again. So from scratch, we went at it again.
You did. I will say, though, on a side note, I will say that one of the most important aspects of Glenn's success has been the relationship that he's developed over the years, because they've always been approached with a real fair integrity and honorable kind of relationship, and he's never burnt bridges, or at least not intentionally, and really kept competition and others close as allies. And I think that's one of the keys to your greatest success.
I've ever burnt a bridge. You're right.
No,
but
true. And part of the reason you were able to come back in is you had such a good relationship with one of your competitors who allowed you to incubate under you.
I was going there. Exactly. We had lots of different owners that I knew, and one of them, Patty and Rick, over at New American, they said, hey, come in and incubate under us. That way you can utilize the licenses and all of the infrastructure that they had as I grow my business, and then we'll one day spin it out. They do retail. We were doing wholesale, and so that's how we began.
There wasn't a conflict of interest. And this goes back to one of the principles that you covered in the first season of Undercover Billionaire was keep your, keep your competition close. Like, don't be afraid of the competition.
Well, they should be your allies.
Yeah,
right.
And you really have practiced that so much. I mean, if we just on a side note want to go to a personal matter, Glenn and I are very close to his ex-wife, which many times can be a very contemptuous and not so smooth relationship in a blended family. But she and I and Glenn, we've maintained a very close relationship, and it says a lot to you and kind of that what you
I'm
put
still
out.
trying to think of what contemptuous means, but I think I have a good idea.
It's another one of those big words.
That's right.
Sorry, I know you don't love those big words, but I feel very superior when I use them.
But to your point,
sorry, I was just having a moment.
but to your point, I just lost my point.
You're talking about being with Patty and Rick and how you kept your competition close, and that was
so I started because
this time, you know why you're so successful this time. I wasn't part of the last company. I mean, I was there.
Exactly.
I hosted your Christmas parties all the time.
So as we started this new company, we called it Kind Lending. And we did that on purpose because, again, I didn't want what happened last time. And there's a couple of things. You got to think about this, all right? If you go out and you see something in your head, how you see it begin, how you see it end, and it doesn't work that way. By the way, most of the time, that's how life is going to treat you.
Right.
And if you become bitter, if you become angry, there's a saying about
bitterness poisons the well in which it's been stored.
Thank you. You are very bright today.
I am. It's purple.
So as
no bitterness is what you're saying.
No
Just
bitterness.
don't hold on to bitterness because it hurts you and it affects a lot of the things.
So as I sat there and thought about it, I said, now I could be a little upset by how things turned out. But instead, hey, why don't I start another company? And why don't I go back into the same building that they were in? And why don't I go back into the same floor? Why don't I go back into my same office? Why don't I take down the old sign and put up my new sign?
That's almost like going through a divorce and saving the bed that you slept in.
Why not? Hey, let's go for a romp. What do you say? I'm ready. And so there it was. Well, it felt like getting fucked, actually.
Oh yeah.
And,
that's not making love.
No. So, but anyway, but so going at it and realizing, hey, I really think that the way this happened didn't happen the way I liked it to be. So what would I like to see differently? Mm-hmm. Well, I like it to be a little more kinder.
Yeah. You went back and forth on that name too, because for a while we thought, well, what about Underdog Mortgage, or because it was kind of tying in the show. But I was thinking about this today on the drive. You had such a big picture idea of what you wanted to do with it, and it was really about the movement of creating a culture. And when you create a title, you give a mantra for people to step into. And I think if you go underdog, you're thinking, well, we're the underdog, but then what happens when you're not? What happens when you're the top dog? Do you still have the underdog? Like, I think there was a lot more to this than just the title. You really thought about the mission and the mantra for which you wanted to operate under.
So as we began, I was excited. I had not 1 second of being bitter because there's no reason. And there's always 3 sides to a story, right?
Right.
Mine, theirs, and probably something in the
truth.
middle. And so those things happen. So why sit and get upset? Let's go off and do it again. So we named it Kind Lending. And when I think about what people, let's go back to developing a company, and let's go back to what people do right and wrong. Mm-hmm. I think when you have a purpose, and our purpose was, we felt at the time that the world needed more kindness. Now, we already talked about this. We had Tom Tate, the mayor, come in here and talk about his campaign for kindness.
So he was the mayor of Anaheim and ran his campaign on kindness.
That's right.
Which got the attention of the Dalai Lama. And it's the vernacular is very, very prevalent right now in the world.
Another word I would never use is vernacular, but that's cool. So as you say, so as we went out and with this new company, and we start realizing that, of course, everybody is going to be able to use one type of currency that regulates the world, which is called money, right? Hey, and now if your misery index is very high, but I want to keep you, I need to pay you more, right?
I think that's an old school way of thinking.
Right. Now, our way was, there's a lot different types of currency out there, and one of them is kindness or happiness or
joy or appreciation or gratitude. Those are all
right. So we said,
can
hey,
be spent.
This is how
Big
you look.
ROI.
Let's focus internally. Let's look inward. Let's look and see how we can make sure these people that are taking half or most of their day and utilizing it to be with us, right?
Yeah,
they're not with their families. This is their
this
career.
is their work family.
And so let's make sure they're happy. So you and I began that journey of appreciating every single person that came in that door. And as you do that, and I'm not just trying to talk about our company, but I mean, if you have your own company, you say, what do I stand for? Well, hopefully what it is something that other people are going to find joy. I want to come to work and I want to make a difference, because the things that happen is that when you've got everybody running on the right cylinders and everything's going in the right direction, then you begin little things like people, they would always print, and then when they were done, they would take the paper and turn it over and print on the other side. Everybody was saving money. Everybody was turning lights out. Everybody cared. And as you've got this momentum going that way, then guess what happens? They want to help the customer. They want to stay later if they need to. They want to do those things. But when you have a negative environment, give me a big word for that. But
do you want a company to be led with? Do you want your employees to respect you or fear you? And I think the way you treat people across the board will draw that in. And we've talked about how you lead. You either lead through love or you lead through fear. There are two baseline emotions that steer all actions. And when you founded the company, it was really based on a love for the people and what the people brought to the table.
Sorry. Do we have a cough button?
We don't have a cough button, but I know that's not COVID because this is part of the
thing
result of his throat surgery.
So when you have a group out there and they believe in what you believe in, then you have people that all want to see the success of that business, and that means they care about every little thing. When you go the opposite way and you take that away, and I'll give you a great example again. So if you walk into management and you say, hey, I noticed this was done this certain way and I think that's wrong. I think you ought to do it another way. And management gets upset at you. How can you do that? Do you understand? And this, I've watched this, where what happens is that's a reflection of us, management. And that is an insecure management team who feels that way. And so what you get is now you get voices that get silenced, right? No, I'm not going to speak up. If I speak up, I'm just going to get fed a bunch of crap. So how are you ever going to find out what problems you have? In our culture, hey, if you speak up because there's an issue, there's a problem, there's a mistake that happened, we're going to thank you. We're going to tell you, hey, you've just helped solve a problem a lot quicker than being silent and letting it just sit there for a long time.
Well, I think that goes back to also hiring people that are,
that are confident,
confident, that know what they're doing, and allowing them to be the best they can be. And we've had such an open door policy too. When we send out, we say, look, you give out your cell phone. We have your personal email. People can reach you if they want to call you and suggest ideas, suggest ways of running things. And we've been very open to that, because I always say when I send out my letter to welcome new employees, like, hey, we're open for feedback because we grow when we know.
Right.
If we don't know, we can't grow. We don't, you don't grow by... You're not going to, I always say you learn through pain. Tell me the worst part of it and I can improve. You tell me how great I am. That's not going to.
But back to the thing, if you squish people's ability to talk, then you will never find out the issue. And then what you do is people say, man, I just can't wait to get out. And then again, that misery index goes up and people then go, you know what, I'm out of here. Wait, let me try to pay you a little more so you'll stay. And so you stay a little while longer and you keep staying, versus I am so happy to be here. I feel I'm being treated fair. They listen to me. They care about what I say. When I do suggest something, even if it was something that was done wrong, they applaud me, thank me. When those things happen, you create that movement. You create something inside of a company where people start to feel heard, and then you start to have a purpose, and everybody has a a reason for being there. And then you stay longer than 5 o'clock. You want to do the things that happen. And I'll give you another great example. And I think that when I look at this business of mortgage banking, just as one little business that's out there, well, in the last 8 months, the rates have gone down so low, 9 months, that we had a flood never before seen where there were so much business that people couldn't take it. So what do? You have a pipeline so big and you need it. You need to work it. So I need to hire more employees. So I keep hiring more employees. Well, now I can't hire more employees because there's none left. So what do? Well, I'll pay you a $10,000 I'll tell you 20, 30, I'll pay you $40,000 bonuses.
Right.
So people start jumping. They have to for their families. Hey, well, when you do that, you know what ends up happening? You're going to end up having a bunch of people that you get, and you're going to have a bunch of people that leave because other people are doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. So I started asking around to a lot of my competitors who are my friends. I said, tell me how, since August, how it's gone. And I had one group tell me, well, for every 100 people we hired, 80 other people left and looked for jobs, right? So they had a 20% retention.
Their misery index was probably...
No, it wasn't. They weren't miserable.
They
were actually a nice company. It's just, in that case, they're trying to get people in the door, but other people are soliciting their other employees. And so their retention was not that great. Mm-hmm. Another company that I know very well, they hired from August 1,489 people. It's a lot of people since August, okay? They lost 848 people. They had a retention of 46%. Do that math. I think it's still true.
Wow.
I hope my numbers are still right. But anyway, you get it. They had a 46% retention, right? Because people were leaving on the back and they were getting new people in on the front.
That's a lot of onboarding.
It's a lot of onboarding, offboarding.
It's
a lot of where's the laptop? There's a lot. There's millions of dollars going out chasing all these people. In our company, what happened, Mindy? You and I would call people and say, thank you for coming to this company. We really appreciate you. How's it going? Tell us what we can do to be better. Well, you know what our retention was? I think you know. It was 95%. Okay? We had 5% of people. When this was a bloodbath, everybody is paying everybody to go everywhere. People said, I want to stay not because of just the money, but because there's another currency, a culture, and that is happiness, kindness, and all those things. So if you have a company, forget if it's a mortgage company, it doesn't matter what it is, you have to think, what is your purpose? And if that means your purpose is, I want people to be happy, I want servant leadership, I want to work for my employees. That's one way of keeping people. Or you can be these big dominant companies that say, we know what's best, and all it is the bottom dollar. And that works for some people.
Well, I'm wondering, to me, it's very common sense, but that's not always how business has run.
No, that even at very high levels, I'm surprised how little common sense there is sometimes.
Yeah. You know whose companies I feel have kind of blazed the way in this regard is Richard Branson's companies. They've always
great example.
They've always thrived on fun and joy.
He set up a culture where people were very happy to be a part of that company.
Costco is another place that people really love their jobs. And
when we sit there, and I think about a mortgage business again, I say, okay, it's so boring, right? It's about paperwork and loans, and it's who wants to talk about that stuff? And so we started talking about other things, right? We've got the chief happiness officer. That's what you were called for a while. Remember that, dear?
He didn't like me calling myself the chief hoe.
I did not like that.
But I was sleeping with the boss.
I needed to change her name to the chief kindness officer. And your mother and father
That's my
are
parents
here.
over here. They're our peanut gallery. It's our in-studio audience.
So I had to change your title to the chief kindness officer. Let's see her say the chief co. It doesn't work.
CKO, I'm going to knock you out with kindness.
So... But we were having fun. People were laughing. We were laughing at ourselves. And, You know, when I think of airlines and I think of some of these boring big airlines, and then I think of
Southwest came along and changed the model for customer service
they're
and
singing
fun.
up there, you know,
Yeah.
they're having fun. And, you know, and what's wrong with that? So what's wrong with doing that in the mortgage? Oh, it's financially related. You've got your
So
house
regulated in its
Oh my gosh.
finances and its
What's
banks
so
and governments.
what?
And,
Then even more so, you should be laughing and having
our
fun.
culture is very, very fun and very light, and we do a lot of great things. Our people really are our greatest asset. And I think in any company, when you focus on the people and you focus on the culture, the profits will come. I just believe if you build it, they will come. But if you encourage it, it will come. If you give people some dignity and some consideration and gratitude, it's amazing what you can attract.
So when you're working on your own business, you need to ask yourself, what do I do? Because a lot of times you spend fitting in. I need to fit in and be this or that, right? Why? Why do you need to be what everybody else is? And you need to find out, is it just because you think that's what will...
Or that's what you've been told, or that's an
Right.
old model that you just have this mindset that that's how it's always been, so that's how it's always going to be.
Exactly. You need to realize that it's not about what the outside thinks of you. It's about what your people that work for you think of you. Because when they're happy, I don't care anything else, it resonates to other people. And they say, I want to be a part of that movement. I want to be involved with people that are happy people. What happens when you are looking, you know, for a girl or a guy, right? You don't attract very many people when you're a miserable human being. People are attracted to confidence and laughter and happiness.
And joy and happiness.
That's right.
And don't badmouth your ex. That's one thing I always say to people. Like,
That's
that's
right.
more a reflection of you. I love this about this man. When I first met him, he just had only the most positive, encouraging things to say about the mother of his children. He said, look, it didn't work out with us, but she's still the mother of my children, and spoke with such respect. That was probably one of the things that really snagged me. You got me with that one. It was impressive. And I think
I
that
got her, parents. See that? I knew the trick.
He tagged me. Got me.
That's
what?
horrible. I'm not even going to go. I'm showing my maturity and my respect for your parents,
That's so sweet.
as I will sit here and be above all of that fray.
They weren't in studio when you were making comments about my ass.
I happen to love her ass, and I'm not going to go any farther than that.
Okay, let's it's a good time to wrap. Let's
So-
wrap on the end.
Anyway, we were trying to talk business, but it's a monkey
some of this
business. That's right. Yeah. But no, again, a lot of people that are out there that listen are, trying to think how they want to be in their life. And I would suggest, if you work for someone, you work for a place where you have purpose. You work for a place where you feel joy.
And where you're appreciated.
And where you're appreciated. And if you don't, guess what? I promise you, another door will open. And we
Yeah.
get stuck thinking, I need this so bad that I don't know how else. I got to do it for my family. I got to do this. You will, if you have confidence, you will succeed, and you will find another job. You will, whatever. But don't sit in misery.
Don't live by fear.
That's right.
Find the love in your heart, and whatever that emotion, it stems from that, and find that there are other opportunities out there. Because when you honor what you are, if you honor that place within yourself and you say, I deserve better than this, it's amazing what you can attract.
That's right.
So with that, any final words, my dear?
I am very happy with our new company. I'm very happy with how people perceive the movement that we've created, because again, I do believe that we're doing something much different than most people. I did hear the other week where people said, hey, Glenn, 2 people have started in your industry that have put other chief kindness officers in, and should
Chief culture officers or chief,
should we go out and put a cease and desist again. I said,
That's
well, then
not
we
very
would be mean
kind.
mortgage. We would not be kind mortgage. And I said, I'm actually flattered because
Yeah.
I really believe that
There's room for everybody. There's room for
and
all.
also I hope that we do start something. I hope other people find it very interesting and they do it within their own companies. That's great. We don't need an edge. We can be the OG. We
Right.
don't need to be the only one.
In my, I like to send these letters out, and I created a quote based on one of our favorite movies, The Wizard of Oz, and it was, "May you have the courage." We all have the heart to carry kindness. May you have the courage to share it, and the brains to know how much it matters, and find your no place like home. Right? You like that?
I do like that one.
All right. Well, there you go.
You're always pulling out those really cool
And
ones.
don't forget to catch the rest of the series of Undercover Billionaire Comeback City to see
Comeback
Glenn in
City.
action, giving a lot of kindness to a lot of businesses in Erie. And you can catch it on Discovery Plus. And you can also follow Glenn, glennstearns.com with 2 N's, glennstearns.com. You can sign up for a mentorship also. You can also have the opportunity to get a one-on-one mentoring with Glenn, and also follow on Glenn Stearns on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. And then you can also follow Grit Happens wherever you listen to podcasts. That has been another episode of what I like to say, Grit Happens.
That's
Thank you for
right.
joining us. We'll see you
Hey,
next
woo.
time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.